Folks, welcome back to So Bad It's Good, presented by Betches Media. Today is a fantastic day. I have not talked to these guests in a minute. I mean, it might have been a year. Time means nothing anymore. But man, I love them so much. You might know them from their account comments by Celebs. They also have comments by Bravo, comments by athletes, comments by Bachelor. But I'd also like to draw your attention to their podcast, Comments by Celebs. I just finished listening to 3 episodes this afternoon, and I got to tell you, I don't listen to a lot of this stuff anymore because I feel like it poisons my already warped mind. But I was laughing, I was talking along. It's like when you're like talking with your friends that love everything that you do, but they take it so, I don't know. There's something. They were taking me through the Ben Affleck timeline, you guys, of the Ben Affleck J-Lo. And man, I was in heaven because they had all the details. They had it all there. And then they were putting in such interesting perspective and commentary on top of it. And this is why I love pop culture. We talk so much about stuff we hate, but we can also talk about stuff we love. And I think these ladies do that in spades. So please welcome back to the show, the ones, the only, Emma Diamond and Julie Kramer, comments by Celebs. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having us. You always give the most loving intros, and we just appreciate it so much. I know you guys can't see us, but we are both like smiling ear to ear, and we just love you. And honestly, one thing about us, we're going to talk about what we love. So I'm glad that that's your takeaway from the show.
Well, that was mine too.
Yeah, well, and also a shout out to Isabel Greenberg as well, who also is on the podcast. She's excellent as well. And that is something, you guys have been doing this for a minute now. And I feel like I'm 4.5 years in, and sometimes the wear and tear of pop culture, it can kind of bring you down. Do you guys feel that sometimes?
It's a lot. I mean, listen, sometimes there's heavy shit going on. But it comes with the territory. I feel like we have to go through the bad to really experience the good.
What's warped about me is that I feel like I don't have the wear and tear of pop culture. I feel like I have the wear and tear of when things are slow. And it like first of all, I get nervous that there's not enough to talk about on the podcast, but then I'm like antsy. I'm like, what's going on? Why is nobody doing anything? Like, I'm so desensitized to how crazy pop culture gets that I almost welcome it a little too much.
Mm-hmm.
That is true. I mean, there's something always going on, but I even felt like a slowness this summer in certain ways. But then we had like a 1-2 punch in terms of general pop culture, and you guys talked about it. I'm so sorry, Julie, about Justin Bieber's baby. It seems like it really rocked you. We don't have a photo yet of Justin and the baby.
We do not have a photo of Justin and the baby. The closest thing we got was today. He posted a photo holding a Papa mug, right, Julie? It was Papa Bear.
A Papa Bear mug. And Haley posted a story with a ring that says mom. And of course, when they announced it, we got the picture of the classic celebrity baby foot. There is nothing in the world more classic than a 1-day-old baby's famous foot.
True.
By the way, we're going to find out at a later date that's not even their actual baby. It's a stunt baby just for the photo. We're like, we don't need our baby's foot out there in the public eye.
Remember when Kim tried to do that?
Yes.
With North, when she sent fake pictures around to find who the leak in her crew was.
Oh my God. I just did a deep dive on Kim Kardashian's old tweets from 2009 and 2010. I put them up on my Instagram, and they were amazing because it like throws back to a different time. She would tweet things like, "I'm naked right now." And it was like, yeah, it was great.
I was just thinking that I recently saw those. I guess it was you that posted them.
Yeah.
No, that was a different time. Their social media usage in general was a whole other world back then.
Well, I mean, you guys have recapped the Kardashians for a long time now, and you just finished was it season 3? What season of Keeping Up with the Kardashians were you going back on?
Season 8.
So you guys, I forgot all about this. I must have like completely blocked it out, but it was when Lamar was going through everything, and there was like the hiding of what was actually going on with Lamar. And then you had Rob Kardashian, who was living with Khloe and Lamar, you guys, and he was obviously going through something really strenuous as well. And on top of that, Kylie had her 16th birthday party, which is always, but it just reminded me of like, man, that show, that was harrowing back in the day on Keeping Up with the Kardashians.
I have to be honest with you. Obviously, we ride for the Kardashians like no other. It's just one of our truths, and we will totally own that. And we love the Hulu show truly because like we're never going to be mad if we're receiving their content. However, watching this season specifically, we said to each other, this show used to be a show. Like the stuff that they were showing us was just
Yeah.
unparalleled. Never in a million years, and I get it, they're a whole other level of fame, but never in a million years would we get this type of insight. I mean, we have Chloe in the car with Courtney when Lamar's agents are calling her wondering what's going on with him. That would be like top secret, locked up in the vaults these days. And again, I understand, but it's slightly painful.
Yeah. I mean, do you feel the same way?
Yeah, I mean, I always have these moments when we do the recaps of the old episodes where I'm like, God, I wish I could remember what I thought the first time around. Like, I wish I understood the reaction that I had at 13, 14 years old. And I feel like watching this season that we're on, we just finished 8, we're moving on to 9. It's the first time where I like have a slight memory of how crazy I thought it was at the time. But even now watching it under a different microscope, it's like, it was so crazy that I was almost desensitized to it at the time, because I guess that's the content we were used to getting from them. And coming off of the most recent season of Kardashians, which, like Em said, we're never going to not watch it. But we had this moment after this most recent season wrapped up. We were like, that's a season finale. And going back to the season 8 finale that we're on now, I'm like, that's a season finale. Like, it's hard to even believe what we're dealing with the same show, basically.
But it's interesting that like it involves their personal trauma, and that, according to reality shows, makes a good reality show is when they open it up in that kind of sense. And that's why, like, I've watched the Hulu show, and I will say this season kind of felt like a slog in some ways, because I keep thinking, my God, if they wanted to have the best I always tell you guys this, if they wanted to have the best reality show out there, they could every year, but it's what they want to share. And as you get bigger and bigger, I would imagine it's not as necessary or as fun or as healthy to, I mean, God, Kim and Kanye alone could be an entire season of just drop-off schedules.
That's honestly, like, truly, I think I can't speak for everyone, but I think many of us who have been following this for so many years, that's probably the thing, if we had to choose, that we would be the most interested in, like, to really understand what goes on. What are the day-to-day logistics? What is it like co-parenting? Like, give us everything. And I understand, for Kim's sake, she just can't do that. It would make her life a living hell to really have to do that. But we're missing out on, it's kind of like how we say, for example, this season of Orange County, when they're talking about Jen, not having any money. They can't say that her job currently is the show. She can't say that on the show. It's
Yeah.
like when Kim's talking about why she's so busy, we can't say the other thing that she's so busy about is the fact that I'm sure this whole Kanye situation takes up so much of her time. And it's a loss. I can't lie to you. It is a loss.
The way that I feel about it too is, like, first of all, we have to give Chloe her flowers for even in the Kardashians, because to bring us through what she's brought us through with Tristan, first of all, not only has that been the drama of the show and like the biggest thing that we've seen, she's really taken us in. And so I give her a lot of credit there. And I completely agree about Kanye. Like, there are certain things that kind of can't be touched. I think as viewers, we wish we could get a little bit more. I actually feel like one of the main things that I feel we're missing out on is the Courtney and Scott of it all, because we used to have such an insight into their relationship and their co-parenting relationship, even when they weren't together. And again, to give Courtney her flowers, she's really brought us on this journey with Travis. But I feel like Scott is such an off-topic limit for her, and vice versa, where we have no understanding of what that co-parenting relationship looks like. We have no understanding of if they ever speak, if they ever see each other, how that works in their house anymore. And I actually think that's the thing that I'm probably most curious about, more than Kanye, actually.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was just speculating with a friend the other day about Mason, because Courtney's alluded to not, like that Mason's, wanting to be with his dad more potentially, didn't go on the vacation, or I think to Australia. And that's the interesting thing. I'm like, wow, how are the kids even doing with the new child in the mix? And where's Scott? Like, Scott, just wants to be around, I think, or that's the vibe you get. He's like, I'll do any scene. I'm ready for anything. And it just, it's one of the weird and sad things about getting older is relationships changing, different like romantic relationships, all of these things. And I think the show used to let us in fully to all of that, but now I don't think they can. And I don't know if they even really want to, but I do think Kris Jenner has a competitiveness to her that sometimes I wonder if she's like, let's rip the Band-Aids off this season and give them everything.
I actually think, first of all, totally she has that. I also think Kim has that, not to the extent where she's willing to put the Kanye stuff on blast, because I recognize like that one just has to be off limits for the sake of like
Yeah.
her everything. But I bet you, like, I feel, and Julie and I have spoken about this, I think that Kim and Chloe in their most secret conversations say, like, God damn, I wish Courtney would be down to discuss Scott, because it's not like it's a secret. She made it very clear to us, I guess it was 2 seasons ago, that she really doesn't want any of the Scott and her narrative involved in the show. She feels as though it takes away from her and Travis's fairy tale. That was a total, not that there's such thing as a fourth wall break since it's docuseries style anyway, but I mean, she was very clear about that. And I honestly think that Kim, like, I don't think it would ever come out, but oh my God, I want that conversation, because I think Kim feels like, you've brought them through this many years. Come on, just give them a little. Right?
I mean, Courtney wants to go back and re-edit it like George Lucas and Star Wars, of like, we can just erase Scott completely from this series. But I would also think Courtney should be proud of everything that was on screen, because that, we are so much more excited for her and her new journey because of what we saw her go through. And it doesn't mean we need to hate Scott, or Scott doesn't need to be there, but it is interesting, even at your top of your game and how successful and rich you are, you still have to deal with all of the things that we all have to deal with in the real world.
Totally. I know. We both have a lot of thoughts on this, but I think when you said, not that we have to hate Scott Disick, like, one thing about us, you're never going to get us to hate Scott Disick, truly. And I think
dude's charming as hell. He's fun. He's obviously has his own demons, which unfortunately all of us men are idiots and we do, but he's like hanging in there. Like, I always believe in second chances.
Well, to your point about, she should be proud of taking us through that whole journey, and that it makes us all so much happier and more excited for her for where she is today. I so agree. And I feel like if you didn't, see and know Courtney at her Scott Disick, like, you don't deserve her at her Travis Barker, because to be this level of happiness for her can't be achieved unless you saw the hell that she went through. Don't you feel that way, Jewel?
Of course. I mean, it was a full evolution. And I also feel like, there's a whole piece of the puzzle missing with Courtney and Scott's relationship if you're just getting into it now. Like, if you've missed the ups and downs, what they were like back in the day when their relationship was at its best, when it was at its worst, when it was, they were co-parenting together and broken up, but still friends. Like, I feel like we were just talking about this with one of our friends, because they were asking us, like, don't you feel like it's so uncomfortable that the family still has this relationship with him? And I was like, actually, I don't feel that way literally at all, because I think that people forget there was a period of time where Courtney and Scott were fully broken up, not together, but had this amazing friendship. And, when Scott's parents both unfortunately passed away, the family said to him, like, your family, you're in, like, nothing changes about that. And I feel like that is such an important and core part of their dynamic. And so I actually, when I watch Scott on screen, I have these moments of actually wishing he was even more involved and more invited in the way that he was when they were still broken up. I feel like all of a sudden Travis came into the picture, which I totally understand. And it was like almost like Scott got punished for something he did 5 years ago that he'd already been forgiven for him, and then punished again for, which is hard for me to watch personally.
I mean, and poor Courtney just having to clean eat. I mean, her clean eating is just insane. I mean, let's get back to like a burger at some point, because my God, all the matcha that's going on over there. And I mean, but it's so exciting to see that transformation for her. But yeah, I would love for her to come to some sort of terms with Scott. And also, when you share your family dynamic on a reality TV show, they become our families in a way as well. And I find, I don't know, I'm just curious where this all goes. I think they have 3 more seasons on Hulu out of the gate, and I'm sure they get to decide when their show ends. But I am curious if there is an end to the actual show.
I don't.
Hope
okay.
not.
I obviously hope not.
We're out of business. Yeah.
Well, yeah, by the way, I mean, it's literally our livelihood. But no, I truly hope not. However, if I'm being my 100% most honest, I think that if we have more seasons like this most recent one, it can't go on for that much longer. I don't think, Julie always makes this point, and I think it's such a good one. You can kind of gauge how well any show, but specifically Kardashians, is doing based on the level of camaraderie on Twitter after a new episode release, good or bad. It's not that everyone loved it, but at least they're watching. And to be honest with you, for the majority of this season, there wasn't much conversation about it. Like, if I was someone who didn't do this for my life, like, I don't know if I would feel drawn to watch based on what people were saying, because people weren't saying a hell of a lot, to be my most honest.
No.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't, I mean, just even in my own thing, I wasn't inspired to make memes. I wasn't inspired to do a lot. And that says nothing, because they're obviously all thriving. But I do find it interesting that in some ways they birthed a lot of like reality show ideas. And some of these are just overtaking them. I mean, whether it be a Vanderpump Rules season or The Valley, which had an excellent first season, and then you have Love Island USA, which had a great season. It's a lot for the consumer or the viewer or us to keep up with.
Right.
Totally.
Right.
Um,
And I was going to say, like, I felt like when the Dolce Vita fight happened, in terms of online camaraderie, it doesn't get better than that. And so
That was
one of the
great.
more, oh my
Ugh.
God, that was a rush. That like,
Andrea fighting over Andrea Bocelli and stuff. Are you
It-
kidding me?
Highlight of my life. We will be chasing that high for the rest of our lives.
but exactly to your point, which was my point, like
Yeah.
it was Twitter conversation. It was Instagram memes. It was TikTok audios. Like that conversation, that fight was everywhere and it was drawn out and people had opinions and everybody was talking about it. And so one of the things that we always say is like, listen, it's never going to be a Lamar situation again. Hopefully it's never going to be a Tristan situation again. They can't make something crazy happen that isn't there. They can't make Kendall and Kylie talk about their lives that they've never been willing to talk about in that way. We're
Come
never
on,
going to get
Timothy.
Kylie.
Right,
We're never
going
going to get Kylie talking
Timothy.
about
Come
Timothy.
on.
But I think that if they take what they learned from the Dolce Vita fight, which is like try and make these memeable and viral moments, not manufactured and not forced, but give it to us in a way that feels natural but exciting, that's when the show can have success. It doesn't need to be the craziest thing that's ever happened, but it's got to be something that gets people talking and is a little bit polarizing in nature.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, even hanging out with like my dad or my sister or something like that. And I'm like, God, real tough season for our family this past year. Hopefully we'll get to a good season. Like you start to think about your lives in seasons of like, I wouldn't watch us either right now. Like it's really kind of dreary and not really a good season, but next season's going to be great. And it's weird that they have to start thinking, or they probably do think about their lives like that of, is this an on-season fight or an off-season fight?
Right.
Totally.
Totally.
What a first of all, what a bizarre concept in general. And second of all, just quick side note, how is your dad doing?
Oh, it's up and down. Like we just had the year anniversary, mom's passing last week, and he'll have real good moments and then he'll have really bad moments. And he was just out in LA, and it's like a whole, 53 years with somebody, it's a whole new adventure for him. And sometimes he's not wanting to take that adventure, and sometimes he is. And I think we all are just kind of going through it's been a really bizarre time, and we've all stuck together. Everything is great on that front, but that kind of as Carol Radswell said, like what remains after something kind of diminishes and goes away physically. It's a real learning curve on how to go about everything in your life. Even doing this, talking about these shows of the Kardashians, it loses a little of its flavor. I mean, it just sometimes, like I would do this to try to make my mom laugh or try. So a lot of things are tied up in her passing. And I think it's just time pass, I don't know.
No, you're not. It makes total sense. And I totally hear you. It's one of those things, at least in my experience, where like, you just have to go day by day. You got to give yourself grace, give those around you grace. And yeah, it'll never be the same. And that's just true. But how lucky are we? Like I always say, how lucky are we to have loved someone so much that every aspect of our lives is entirely different in the aftermath?
Yes.
It is a blessing. But
yeah, no, it really is. And everybody, all, listeners and all that stuff, everybody has shared so many stories, because the one thing that I tell my audience is like, man, we all go through this. We're all going to go through this. And even in terms of reality TV, I don't think I can watch my reality stars go through this. Like that's what's going to freak me out. Like, Chris had a health scare this past season, like I can't deal with Chris being sick.
No. Right. It's like, we need you. Get in that pre-nuvo machine every year.
Yeah. That's how I feel every time they post MJ.
Oh, I know.
Oh God. Oh my God.
When they post MJ, my heart drops, and then it's like, happy birthday. And I'm like, oh my God, thank God.
God, I know.
Well, that's like this interesting parasocial relationship. Like what we do and what you guys do wasn't around 20 years ago. Like,
Right.
There was no comments by celebs Instagram account. There were no podcasts. So it's so bizarre in another way that we get to dissect all of this. And I've sometimes questioned, can these shows withhold and withstand the weight of all of us discussing them? Does that make sense?
Yes, and you know what? I think they can. I really, really do. I do. I have to believe I think listen, it's not across the board, but I think that certain shows actually end up being better because they know the level of conversation that's going on. Not in a way where it feels contrived or feels overly performative, but I do think about it as a reality star, you are on some level a performer. And I think if you have the mindset that like people are really analyzing this and people really give a shit, you want to give people something to give a shit about.
By the
Yeah.
way, the flip side of that is exactly what we're talking about with Kardashians, where we're like, can they withstand not being spoken about? And I think the answer is more no, they can't withstand not being spoken about than can they withstand being spoken. Their entire currency is being spoken about and discussed and analyzed.
So
Yeah, I
true,
mean,
queen.
so true, queen. Two queens on that. Okay, so I do want to just one last thing about the Kardashians, and we talked about this briefly, but go listen to their episodes of this season because especially with the Chloe and Rob of it all, like I said, I had spaced out on a lot of that stuff, and it gives you a different appreciation for Chloe and how truly strong she is, and really the trauma that she went through in that specific relationship, because we did see them get married like in a very brief courtship on that show. And then Rob, I still think is suffering a lot of those after effects of certain things that he had seen, he had been a part of, on top of his dad dying, on top of all of this. And I think he's still very uncomfortable with the celebrity nature of it all. But it really got me thinking about Rob and Chloe. So thank you. I mean, that was a great job.
No, first of all, thank you for listening. And if you guys are even remotely interested, I would say the season 8 finale, Kylie's Sweet 16, and maybe the episode 1 or 2 before, it gives it, it's true, Ryan. It gives you such a level of insight because I think on some level we forgot too. We all know, like within the family, they're all very close, of course, but there are individual bonds that really, I think, stand out among the rest. And Chloe and Rob have always been one of those. I mean, look at the way they're raising their kids. True and Dream are basically siblings.
Yeah.
Um, but watching this, you get the level of trauma bonded they are is really something because not only when Robert Kardashian, their father, passed away, and also when Chris cheated on Robert, they kind of split at that time. It was more so Kim and Courtney had each other, and Courtney and Rob had one another because they were younger at the time. I think
Yeah.
Chris's perception was that they could understand less of what was going on. And then fast forward to the Lamar days back in 2013, Rob was the only one, maybe with the exception of Malika, out of anyone in the family or anyone around that really knew what was going on. People
Yeah.
think that Chloe was just keeping it from the world. No, she was initially keeping it from her entire family. And it was this kind of strange role Rob had to play, almost as security guard in some ways, of managing the rest of the family's ability to come over to the house. And then also Chloe's like emotional security guard. It's really something. I cannot recommend that Kylie Sweet 16 episode enough, if I'm being honest.
Wait,
I just gotta say.
how long after the Sweet 16 did she start dating Tyga?
Oh God. Like
I
probably
think
not that
before.
long. There's a
Oh.
little not so kosher going on there.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So moving off the Kardashians, your latest comments by celeb Instagram post, you had J-Lo's return Instagram post, her carousel of joy. And I talked about this on the show on Monday, but it was great because she was almost doing like a Khloe Kardashian where Khloe used to put up like cryptic quotes and stuff. And she has like, she's in bloom and unbothered, out of reach and at peace. And then one that says, everything is unfolding in divine order. And so these are all little like Da Vinci Code clues into the relationship and dissolution of the relationship of her and Ben Affleck. Where do you guys stand on this whole, not debacle, because smile because it happened? Where are you guys at with this right now?
Hold on, I will let Julie answer that, but I first just need to add a very important piece of context, which is in addition to the slides and the carousel that Ryan mentioned, there was also a bubble bath, which we discussed this in the episode coming out tomorrow, but to the untrained eye, that bubble bath is just, oh, JLo's having a relaxing evening at home. However, if you know what that bubble bath represents, which is in April 2022, when Ben proposed to her, she sent out one of her On the JLo newsletters. And she revealed that he proposed while she was taking a bubble bath. And I have the exact quote pulled up that I'm going to read for you, which was, Saturday night, while at my favorite place on earth, in the bubble bath, my beautiful love got on one knee and proposed. I was taken totally off guard and just looked in his eyes, smiling and crying at the same time, trying hard to get my head around the fact that after 20 years, this was happening all over again. I was quite literally speechless, and he said, "Is that a yes?" I said, "Yes, of course that's a yes." I was smiling so big and tears were coming down my face, feeling so incredibly happy and whole. It was nothing fancy at all, but it was the most romantic thing I could have ever imagined. Just a quiet Saturday night at home, two people promising to always be there for each other. And that was April 2022. So just don't think that bathtub meant nothing, because it did.
See, idiot over here. I just said, hey, there's a bath. She's enjoying a nice, relaxing bath. But you guys, this is why you're genius. Julie, what do you think? What do you think this means? You think this is, look at what you did, Ben. You've ruined baths for me forever. What do you think this means?
I think that, first of all, I have 1,000,010 thoughts about the whole Ben and J-Lo thing. But I just think in regards to the Instagram, this is J-Lo being J-Lo. Like, one of the things that we had spoken about on the episode we just recorded is that one of the main conversations that has been taking place on Twitter in regards to J-Lo is like, you're never going to catch J-Lo slipping. Like, you're never going to catch her doing a disheveled paparazzi walk or looking sad or looking distressed. Like, that's not J-Lo. J-Lo, no matter what she's going through, is going to come out looking perfect, posting a thirst trap on Insta, showing you that like she is just unbothered and J-Lo to her core. And I think that's what this Instagram was. I think it was her way of saying like, we've been through some shit this summer, but also this is my single summer and I'm out on the other side, and I'm paying reference to this bathtub. I'm showing my followers and letting them in that like I acknowledge the fact that we've been on this ride together. I'm letting them in on like these quotes that I feel are speaking to me right now. But more than that, I'm letting them in on the selfies, the thirst traps. Like, I'm letting them in on my kids and me living my life in the aftermath of this and not slowing me down at all. It's just, to me, it's as J-Lo as it gets.
Yeah. And she's still enjoying her ice cream. We had one of an ice cream cone.
Very Joe Biden coded.
Oh my God. You think Joe's involved? Joe's like, I'm not going to run so I can spend more time with my J-Lo. Yeah.
I think Joe was probably like, heard you're going through a lot. Something that helps me is ice cream. And J-Lo was like, so true, Mr. President.
He's like, not going anywhere. She's like, too soon. Well, no, that's what you guys reminded me in your episode. What was it? Was on the inscription on the ring? Is it not going anywhere?
Yeah.
Because that's what he said. Emails. Yeah, when they were getting back together, which is another. But here's the deal: like when you think about our own relationships, there's like trauma. I mean, I use the word trauma loosely, but we all have those moments that like kill us, and you think about it, and it hurts and it's painful. So this is interesting to think of, like stars. They're just like us, have those same damn things, and I don't know if I really even. Would you guys care to get to the bottom of it? Do you? I mean, at this point, it's like, I feel like, yeah, they couldn't make this work again, and that's got to be really horrendous for both of them. But do we think there's more? Because you guys were talking about the Kit Kennedy of it all, the RFK Jr.'s daughter, and I had Demois on, and she was like, yeah, listen, I posted that, and immediately Ben's publicist was like, not true. But she said, hey, I have these sources that say Brunette was at the hotel with him in LA. And she said, but they are saying absolutely not true. So do you guys care?
Okay. First of all, amazing question. There is so much here. My first response would be if we're talking like which celebrity questions would I die to know? Truly, I can ask, unfiltered. I get the true answer. What's going on with Ben and J-Lo is simply not one of them, because I think we kind of can get the sense. Clearly, these are two people that just can't make it work. 20 years later, they still couldn't make it work.
Yeah.
Every single thing about the way that she approaches life and fame is entirely antithetical to the way that he approaches life and fame. Like, it's just not going to work when you have one person who is so deeply committed to being famous and public facing and adores the praise of the public. And I don't say that negatively. It's just kind of her truth. And the other one who like wants to drink his Dunkin' Donuts and kind of just hang out. Like it wasn't going to happen. I'm so into the fairy tale. I'm obsessed with it. But now I'm like, okay, this wasn't going to happen. In terms of if I think something else happened in terms of cheating or anything like that, I genuinely do not. And something we were talking about on the episode we just recorded is that so the Kit Kennedy rumors come out, right? And on the 27th, his team via People says, quote, "There's no truth to any of it. I don't know if they even know each other," says Jen Allen, Affleck's spokesperson. And Julie on the episode is like, wait, how do you not know if they know each other? Like, aren't you the friend?
Yeah.
Like, so
Well, I mean, they know now that I mentioned it to him. Now she know, like he seems like he's like taking this seriously though. The press release today or like whatever was like he's very disturbed by these allegations. I think.
Yeah. It's like, how do you not know if they know each other? Like, just like you would think that, like, okay, you're putting on a statement on behalf of him. Like, wouldn't he just clarify, like, we're not hooking up, there was no cheating, and also we do not know. Like, where's the ambiguity there?
You're creating the issue now. Like you are keeping this going.
I said it kind of puts the ball in Kick's court. Like now she can say, well, actually, Jen Allen, I do in fact know him. Like
I think I saw this too, like when he came out with I think Trump that day, and I was like, oh shit. I was like, what? Like Ben Affleck is now involved in this? Like, please, like is he at this rally right now? Wait, Julie, be honest about this too, though. So it said a mysterious brunette. That's who he was spotted with at this hotel. Now, do you think there's any chance this was Emma?
I thought you were asking if it was me.
No, because I remember last time Emma said she had a little bit of a thing for Ben Affleck, if I'm not mistaken.
She does. For some reason, I never think about you as being brunette, but I guess you are.
Wait, am I blind? What should we think of her as?
No, she is, but I just think because I'm like, my hair is so dark that I'm like, oh, I'm a brunette, and she's like her own thing, but I guess she is a brunette. That was just the side process that I was like, I didn't even think that. I thought you were gonna say me. No, I would know if Emma was in LA. Not that not that she couldn't, pull that off.
Yeah.
But I think that she could hook up with Ben Affleck and keep that a secret. I don't think she could end up going to LA and I wouldn't figure it out or know about it. Mainly because I have her location.
Oh, true. That's
and
true
we see each other every day.
This is another Rachel Sandoval Vanderpump Rules thing that you'd have to really trick around with the location stuff. Okay, so Ben Affleck, J-Lo, they're obviously split up. I think, they're both going on about their lives, but it is interesting, and especially because of that documentary, which in terms of the PR press, these people going back and forth of going, no, Ben did love the documentary so much so that he actually pushed that J-Lo documentary. He helped edit, he helped do this. And the other side saying, oh, no, Ben was very hurt about the documentary and sharing of the letters and the poems and the one producer calling him Pen Affleck, which just always makes me laugh. But at the same time, like you said, Emma, I don't know if I care. Like I care, but I don't, I'm like, okay, let's move on. And I don't know if that's just age. Like when our superstars age, I don't know if there's just like, there's something sexier around the pike. I don't know what that is, but I'm kind of okay with not knowing with them.
I honestly, for myself, it's really not an age thing. Like I am, first of all, Ben Affleck is like in my top 5 celebrity crushes and J-Lo for women. So like, certainly I don't think it's an age thing. It's just that, like, as I said, we can kind of see what's happening. Like it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out they don't really like each other that much. So, but there are so many.
I was just gonna say, like, one thing about me, like, I'm gonna care. Like, it's not like I have to choose. Like, okay, you get to find out this information or this information that you want to know more. Like, if you're offering me to find out, like, I'm obviously want to know. Like, I'm never gonna be like, no, actually, why don't they just keep that stuff? Like, if you're offering, I'd be dying to know.
No, I just think sometimes then, like, it becomes into this kind of bizarre rumors you start hearing that it's potentially never going to be true. So then you put a lot of confusion out there, which we never get the solid answer on, because all of their press teams are doing their own things. And then that becomes the circus that becomes kind of ridiculous. And sometimes I just think it can be really, really simple. And I don't mean like old as in like kind of the age thing, but when you are used to a celebrity for, how many, 2 or 3 decades, where you're just like, yeah, I'm always going to dig Ben Affleck. I'm always going to like J-Lo. Like I don't, and to your point earlier, J-Lo is always loved being a celebrity. She's so proud of it. She's so proud of her work. And why shouldn't she be? And also Ben Affleck has every right to be like myopic and a grump. If he wants, he can go smoke his cigarettes and be miserable. Like that's his right too.
The way that I feel about like wanting to know or wanting to find out, it's really nothing about like what the PR teams are telling. Like that I'm okay on. Like we've gone through all of the People articles. I'm down to analyze. I'm down to discuss them, but I don't take so much away from them. And like Emma said, like it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out what happened here. Like not only do they have completely different approaches to fame, they also moved very quickly. They had a 20-year undiscussed, unsolved trauma about the two of them calling off a wedding 3 days before it happened. And then they get back together right after she ends it with A-Rod. I mean, in the course of a month, she rekindles her oldest, most famous relationship. A year later, they're engaged. 2 months after that, they're married in Vegas. Like, things moved very quickly. It's not like I'm sitting here like, God, I cannot believe it didn't end. Like, of course I can believe it. I think that for me, in terms of like being nosy and wanting information, I want to know, like, okay, what was the trigger? Like, what was the one event that happened that pushed it over the edge? Or what did that look like behind the scenes when they were having these conversations? What did it look like when Ben moved out of the house? There was a People article that came out today that said, in April, and this is what's listed as their separation date. In April, Jen was in New York. Ben moved out of the house. When she got back, he was gone, and she was like shocked. Like, that's what I want to know, the behind the scenes of. Less about like what actually happened here, because we know basically.
Yeah. The date of separation was April 26th, and I was in New York. It was my birthday, and I had like 104-degree fever. So I think I was like, I have some kind of superpower that I knew they were going through something bad, and my body was rejecting that notion.
I would not put it past you. That's how I feel. Like, no, seriously,
so
that's how I feel. If like Kim ever posts her Aura ring and she like didn't have a good night's sleep, I'm like, wait, I didn't either. Like, we are so connected.
Okay, moving on to another post you guys just had up there was Lana Del Rey. This is kind of a fun story because people are saying that she had a new boyfriend and he is like an alligator tour guide. His name's Jeremy. And she went on and said, no, this is not my boyfriend. And also there was a girl on Twitter that was pretending to be this man's daughter and saying, oh my God, we're so mad at him. He didn't tell us, and posted a screenshot and all of this stuff. But there are other sources that say Lana Del Rey was holding hands with this man overseas at a music festival. Did we ever do we know if Lana was ever dating this man?
Okay, so I know exactly what you're going to say, Julie, but we literally are telepathic. It's actually insane. Okay, just one quick backtrack. I kind of can speak for both of us in saying, like, we fully acknowledge how cool Lana Del Rey is. Like, I fully get the appeal. However, I wouldn't say either of us are so in deep on her personal life. So by no means are we the experts. However, when we posted this, even though we were the ones that posted it, we looked at each other and we're like, wait, there's kind of a little bit of ambiguity here with her comment and the caption. Would you like to explain?
Well, I'm still a little bit confused about this because I saw this circulating on Twitter, obviously, and the caption when it was circulating on Twitter was like, Lana Del Rey shuts down dating rumors. Like, Lana Del Rey comes out and says she's not dating this guy. So when I look at the comment and I read the full caption on the post that she responds to, when it goes through the whole thing, Lana Del Rey, according to Pop Crave, this guy that she's dating is an alligator tour guide. His daughter took to Twitter. And then the last paragraph on the caption is, what's your take on this developing relationship? Are these new details raising any red flags for you? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And Lana comments, no. Also, that's not his daughter on Twitter. So people thought the no was in reference to if they were dating, but I think the no is in reference to if there are any red flags
Raising
for you. And she's saying there are no red flags. So I'm still kind of, it's like one of those things where like, I don't overly care about Lana Del Rey and who she's dating, but I do overly care about like correct reporting.
True. That's why wasn't our caption just like the notes hand? We were like, honestly, like, we don't really know one way or another. Let's just make it something ambiguous, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
But when you guys post something like that, do your DMs flood with information? Like, hey, actually it is true. Do you guys get stuff like that?
Sometimes. With that one, we honestly got none. Sometimes, especially if we express it, I would say it's less with posts, more so if we're expressing like confusion about something on the podcast. Sometimes people who actually know what's good will DM us and be like, this is off the record, but XYZ. I would say it's less with posts though, because typically we know what we're posting about.
No, I will say though, with Lana Del Rey, like, I was like, it didn't put, like, I like Lana Del Rey, but like, I wasn't surprised. I was like, yeah, I'm sure she does date an alligator tour guide. Like, to me, that kind of made sense.
By the way, when I was in New Orleans, I went on one of those alligator tours. Fucking loved it. Zero complaints there. By the way, my guy was hot. Maybe it's him.
I was like, oh my God, are you dating Jeremy too?
Maybe.
First Ben and now Jeremy? My God. Okay. Moving on, and this is Julie, sorry, more for Emma, because I think she's watching this season of OC, Real Housewives of Orange County, which, by the way, Julie, why don't you watch the Bravo of it all? I
It's
don't
a
want to come
great
down on you, but
question. No, it's a great question that I
thank
don't
you.
have a like full and complete. I'm not against it. Like sometimes there'll be a show on. Like I got really into Vanderpump when everything was happening with Sandoval. I don't think I fully watched, but I was very caught up on everything happening Summer House. I think what happened was I didn't get into Bravo in the beginning, and so then it
Mhm.
felt very difficult to jump on board once it was like became part of my day-to-day life when Emma and Isabel were talking about it. I also think in general I have kind of an issue these days with my attention span, and so TV has been a little bit more difficult to watch. And so it's kind of the thing where you would assume like, oh, I would just like go through and now catch up on every season of Housewives. I don't know if I'm capable of doing that. And so I kind of just let it be Emma and Isabel's thing. And sometimes I get to like join in on it and it's like fun for all three of us. And then sometimes it's, sometimes it's like that's none of my business.
Well, listen, we always need new people to come aboard. So I want you to come on board. And I'm saying, just let me paint the picture here. This season, you got Shannon Bedore, this lady who's been on like 10 seasons. She's kind of had something bad happen to her every season, but this time she drank too much and ran her car into a house off season. And then she was with this guy, John Jansen, and they break up. Really bad stuff. She kind of gets help and, is trying to pay her, price for what she did, comes back on the show. And this John Jansen is now dating Alexis Bellino, who's a former cast member, but is now back on the show. So she's having to not only face what she's done to, like the car, drinking and driving, all this stuff, but now she has to like do scenes with the girl that is now dating her ex-boyfriend of 3 years. And then we got this girl, Tamara, who's been on the show since the beginning of time. And she used to be Shannon's good old friend. And now she's like screaming at her in every scene, calling her a liar, just throwing her under the bus right and left. And she's becoming BFFs with the new girl, Alexis. Does that do anything for you?
Okay. Something that's really important that I need to explain is like that is my preferred way of being told information. Like I am hooked and I could sit here and listen to you just explain it to me for like probably an hour. Like I always listen to Emma and Isabel's episodes when they do Bravo. So like I'm kind of caught up, but like that's my preferred method of understanding it. Like I don't have to pay attention that closely. I get a summary of everything that's going on. I get the most important parts of it. I'm caught up enough to be a little bit in the discussion, but like it's no skin off my back.
Right. And
Well,
you're the best person for that because you're so good. You really give a good summary, I have to say,
yeah, well,
honestly.
I mean, was
It was
I close, Emma?
amazing.
I mean, like, well, I mean, that's pretty much what's happening, right? And doesn't it infuriate you week after week to see like the show is becoming what can Shannon withstand? And then this Tamara, who I know she's an amazing housewife, I know she's necessary for the show, but I'm like, what are you doing? By the way, have you been following her face journey? I'm sure on
Holy.
comments
Oh,
by
I have.
Bravo, she got her facelift and it's like Freddy Krueger, it's all healing and stuff. So it's what, and she's posting herself like every hour. So I think she's kind of like proud of it. So she's going to look great in the end, but it's wild.
It's wild. That laser. I mean, I know she did a lot, but that laser will really do shit too. Yeah. I mean, first of all, I thought that was an amazing summary. And yes, that is how I feel every week watching. It's like if Shannon Medora has no fans, I'm dead. Like I truly live by that. I just will always root for her. I think, of course, we all, what she did is
Wrong.
inexcusable. Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's no, period. And also, I don't think she's a bad person. I think the two things can both be true. With the way that I feel about this Alexis situation is like, listen, I'd be lying if I said I'm unhappy having her on. I think it is giving us something we would have never been able to achieve otherwise. What a bizarre scenario. Like,
I
what are
know.
the odds that this person who formerly was on the show is now dating? I mean, come on, it's relevant and it's interesting. But it also feels like cruel and unusual punishment, specifically when it gets into the nitty-gritty of like Alexis being the one to show bank
Yeah.
statements. Like
Oh
if
yeah.
that
Julie, get this. This lady's now saying that the Shannon Bedore owes the old boyfriend $75,000 because he gave her money for a facelift and like for like a loan or something, but there was never any promissory note signed or anything like that. But she's coming into scenes going, you owe my boyfriend money. And she's threatening to release videotapes of her Ring doorbell camera the night she was drunk. She's coming. It's almost like blackmail in these scenes.
That's exactly what is happening. And those are the moments, and Julie, I'm telling you, I know you would feel this way if you were watching. those are the moments that feel so invasive to me. It's like, this was none of your, whatever went on with them financially. I know on some level you feel entitled to it because now you feel as though it's your money. But I don't know. That's the part when specifically when they were at that dinner and she was showing the table her phone with all of the financial documents, that really rubbed me the wrong way. Like, I understood why Shannon had to get up and say, I just can't be there. But to your second point, I actually think the Tamara of it all is more infuriating, because if I am Shannon, I just don't understand how you can ever trust this person even momentarily. It's
Yes.
like, if Tamara is your friend, who needs enemies? That's kind of how I feel.
Oh, I would never trust her I would never tell her anything ever again in my life, because I just know she's like clocking it and she's going to use it at some other point, because Tamara's a smart person. Like, she's playing a competition reality show and Shannon's in a reality series where it just follows around her life. And feel like Tamara's just trying to throw somebody under the bus all the time. And she keeps saying there's things that Shannon has done like off camera, but it's like, yo, I'm here watching this stuff on camera. Find a way to bring it on the camera or leave it alone, because it just makes you look like a really bad person sometimes.
It makes her look so mean. Like, if I had to use one word to describe Tamara, it's kind of just mean. And it's
Yeah.
unfortunate because she is such a good housewife. She has the potential to be such a good housewife. But I don't know. Sometimes I find it a little bit cruel and it's upsetting. And by the
Yeah.
way, I actually think the level to which she's willing to go on the show takes away from her credibility when she references these off-camera moments. Because it's like, wait, if this is you, I expect you to bring it all. What's holding you back now?
Well, that's the other thing, is everybody's suspect because they want to be on the show in the first place. The fact that you want to, like, you need this, you crave this, like even the sharing of the plastic surgery, it's like there's this element of, she loves it. She loves, like, it's a comedic bit in a sense. And like, I think in this day and age in 2024, it's like anything for attention. It used to be, like I always said, like, you loved people and you hated people, but like, man, it was really great to be loved. And now I think people like to be hated because it's the same clicks, it's the same attention span, it's the same discourse. And I just don't know if I could ever withstand that fully.
I know for a fact I could never withstand that
Yeah.
fully. I think it takes a certain kind of a person, a certain level of thick skin. Yeah, I mean, attention is the most desired commodity in that world for sure, negative or positive. It's kind of nuts, honestly, when you really think
Yeah.
about it. Bethany
Um,
Frankel is the perfect example of that. Just saying. I know we
I'm
don't get
in
into
on
it.
Bethany. By the way, I'm in on
Julie,
Bethany.
do
No,
I,
I'm
Julie, do I need to explain? Well, I'm great. I'm glad you brought that up, because I was going to bring up TikTok, because Julie said, her attention span is shit lately, or has been, and mine is as well. And I really blame TikTok in a lot of ways. I blame my TV viewing and all that, but I find myself like making myself get a lower attention span. And it's this damn TikTok, because I get on there and then 2 hours just pass and I've not any concept of the 2 hours. I've seen some like weird things, but I don't like, it's bad. Like, I'm in a bad spot with TikTok right now. I don't really know how to
No.
post on it, but I'm bad at bad watching.
Let me tell you something that will make you feel a lot better. My TikTok viewing experience is so like terrible for my attention span. Like, I know that's what did me in, but if you can finish a full video, and most of the time when you're scrolling, you're watching the whole thing, you're doing great, because you've never seen anything until you've seen me scroll TikTok. I just go through and it's like, oh, 1 second, 1 second. Like, I watch
sound off.
with sometimes the sound off. I'm just looking at the picture. Like, Emma will say to me, like, did you see this video? And I'll be like, yes. And she's like, she'll explain something that happened towards the end of it. And I was like, no, I didn't get there. Like, a 2-minute video doesn't hold my, it's really bad. It's really bad.
Oh yeah. Then I'll hit the 2x speed and I'm like, why isn't there 4x speed? I'm trying to get through this thing as quick as I can. And then I'm on weird things. Like I was telling the audience, like a week and a half, I'm on like Reborn dolls, where like these people
the
are buying
conventions?
dolls. Like, well, yeah, so they're actual like babies, but they're dolls, but they treat them like real people. And I'm like, now on that. I was on prison TikTok a while back. Like, I've gotten in some real dark corners where I'm like, how did the algorithm even think that this is like my thing?
Well, we were having this conversation with someone a few weeks ago. Like, I truly feel, me as myself, I am an open book. Like, you can ask me anything, I will tell you it all. I'll get into any detail of anything. The one thing I will share with no one is my For You page. Like, I would never let someone take my phone and just scroll, because you know what? Sometimes it's fucking weird. Sometimes I don't know how we got to where we got, but I'm seeing some stuff and I'm like, this exact grouping, I just feel I think it's one of the most intimate things we have, which is the way that you know what I mean? Like, that's a very personal thing.
Oh yeah, there's
Yeah.
like a certain shame I have too. Like I think like I'm watching like a young like kids friend group that's all posting and they're like all in fights with each other and then I'm invested and I'm like, you didn't talk shit about her. That's not cool, man. I'm like, what are you doing, dude? You're a grown man. This is so sad on so many levels.
Right, it's like, why do we care about this stuff? Trust me, I know. And then I get very into nature. Like all of a sudden, I'm in deep on the whales. I'm like, what is
No.
going on with mating? Like, right? It's crazy.
Oh no, that's what I got on taking barnacles off turtle TikTok where they're taking it
Oh.
off the shell and I cry every time. I'm like, like they're taking the barnacles off and it's like this beautiful thing, but I don't even know how I got there. And now I'm getting all turtles and barnacles.
Oh, barnacle removal really is something, and the crabs. And there's that one guy who gives him the fish in his claw before he throws it in. But listen, the thing about the removal is that it's the best thing. It's the best thing for
Yes.
them. So what a
But
relief.
then I was reading that like they were throwing them back in the water, the barnacles, and then it's the larva. This is so dumb. Anyways, the whole point about talking about barnacles was I wanted to get to Bethany Frankel. Is Bethany Frankel has a very interesting TikTok presence, and I think I was just watching a video of hers where she was at Surf Lodge to see 50 Cent, and of course, like you know. I always love the people that are like, I'm at 50 Cent. And then they just post themselves rapping to 50 Cent. You never see 50 Cent. You're like, I want to see 50 Cent. I don't want to see you rapping. You said 50 Cent. And it just sums up Bethany to me so much. So Julie, as a non-Bravo watcher, what is your take on Bethany? Because you didn't get to see her at her best, I think. Like what is your take on Bethany?
Yeah, that's a great question. I feel like when I talk about Bethany, it's pretty on par with what everybody else thinks about this current version of Bethany, but that's certainly the Bethany that I'm most familiar with. Um, to take the positive route, I would say I am addicted to her content. If there's one thing that I'm going to watch the full video of, it's Bethany. You think I wasn't watching Bryn's entire first day of school to the point where I saw the dogs get back out of the car?
Out of the car.
It's addicting. We got chicken salad wraps this weekend, and the entire time I was like, I gotta get Bethany to this place. Like I'm
no,
in on
you
it.
don't.
So
That business can't handle it, man. That round swamp thing was like another level.
oh no,
that was
something.
We were at the scene of the crime recently, and yes, it's just I am so also addicted to her content, but it's really sad. I don't know. I feel as someone who just watched New York from the beginning that this is the current version of herself is not someone that she would have spoken kindly of, is the best way that I can put it.
Yeah, I mean, I was wondering what young Bethany would think of this version of Bethany and how that would like all shake out. And it's so weird. I just can't come to terms with it because I know she's probably more popular than ever because everybody's watching. I mean, I don't know. Like it's like people that don't know about Housewives, do they think she's just the loud lady with chews with her mouth open at stores and stuff? Like, what do they
Right.
think of her?
I mean, listen, I think, okay, I will say I have a lot of respect for the businesswoman she is. Absolutely. I think like look at what she's created for herself. That is
Yeah.
unbelievable, and no, really hats off. And I think in a lot of ways, aspects of which she lives her life are impressive. Totally. I think she's a great mom. I have, of course, positive things to say about her. Recently, what I'm feeling is that because of the success she's seen on TikTok, which is undeniable, like her follower count is it's constantly growing, and also she's been able to monetize it. Just listen, she's doing well on TikTok. I find that what's happening is that you'll see she goes to these parties or these dinners that are not public events. It's not like she's going to the Grammys. It's like she's going to these homes of these very wealthy people in the Hamptons. And the next morning, she comes on and she feels a responsibility to her followers to give a debrief, which as a follower, of course, we fucking love it. But I think that I think what she doesn't realize is that her level of obsession with the content is going to isolate her from these groups she so enjoys being in. Because what Hampton's billionaire wants to have someone at their party who's going to get on TikTok the next day and maybe not divulge names, but give every detail to an audience? I don't see how the two can exist in the same world. And that's where I find like, I think you're losing the plot a little.
Yeah, I mean, the Chanel thing, like there's all these different things where I'm just like, wow, I don't know. It just seems like a lot. And at the same time, it's kind of good for her. So I don't think, I don't know. It's a really confusing conundrum for me. But Godspeed. I'm glad. I hope she's happy. That's the other thing. I don't know if I ever get the sense that she's happy, though. It feels like she's sometimes lonely. And it seems like that's the vibe I get. And that's like the stuff that I worry about. I'm like, are you okay? Is everything okay? Because you know, when you're just out there pushing content and talking to a lens, that's way different than having human interaction. Like, I don't, you know, like my therapist is like, don't, you got to go hang out with people. Like, this isn't healthy just doing this. And you've got to remind yourself of that. And Bethany reminds me of that.
I get it. I
Totally.
think she finds a lot of community in TikTok, which there's nothing wrong with. But what about when TikTok isn't there? Like, what does that look like? I don't know. I'm right on your page. Trust me. This is like, I think about this more often than I should.
Yeah. Okay. Two more things before I let you guys go. We had just breaking news. We had yacht pics of Gigi Hadid and Bradley Cooper packing on the PDA. And you know, this is a couple that I guess they're a couple now, but this is another one where I just don't know if I don't want to be negative. Like, I like both of them.
I'll
I
be
think Bradley
negative if
Cooper.
you want.
Okay.
I don't overly
well,
care about them. Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't like, there's nothing there for me. Is there anything there for like Gigi and Bradley besides there's a 20-year age difference?
Does nothing for me, to be
Yeah.
honest. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously they're a beautifully attractive couple. Like I'm not, you know,
Yeah.
visually very appealing, but no, I'm not really overly interested in either one of them, if I'm being my most honest.
Okay. And then listen, I said I wasn't going to talk about, but this just came up. Daily Mail. This is their headline on their main page. It says Travis Kelce calls in lawyers over leaked contract that claim to reveal the exact date his relationship with Taylor Swift would end. And so this story just like made the Daily Mail headlines, and it has a contract from Full Scope Public Relations. And the Daily Mail is, you know, going to Daily Mail. So I wouldn't put a lot of credence in this, but this just came out.
Wait, what does it say?
What
What
does
is
it
the
say?
I'm just going to leave you guys hanging. Let me see here. It
what a
froze up on
bizarre.
me.
That's, by the way,
Uh,
while you're looking, if I don't believe that, but that is not, if I'm Taylor, I'm not loving that. Oh, I can't
oh
even
no, I
imagine the
mean,
panic.
and it has a shot of like the first page of, okay, here, I just pulled it up on my phone. It says, when Taylor, in fact, it's a love story that could actually be a Hollywood movie. But tonight, Mr. Kelsey's representatives were forced to deny that they have plans to split later this month after a document written on the headed paper of his US PR company was spread online. The paperwork, which appears to have been created by Los Angeles-based firm Full Scope, reveals a strategy to make their split and says the date for an announcement is September 28th. It also outlines a supposed plan to release an official statement at the end of the month, 3 days post-breakup, to allow the initial media frenzy to settle and ensure clarity. It adds that the announcement will be gracious, respectful, and stress mutual respect. Laying out what the statement would say, they write, example, Travis and Taylor have decided to part ways after careful consideration. They both value and respect each other's personal lives and appreciate your respect for privacy during this time. And it posts a bunch of like different photos from this, but his PR people are saying this is completely false.
Whoa.
Isn't
That's
that
kind of
insane?
Crazy.
That's
Yeah.
I can't believe we received that while we're on with you.
Yeah, I mean, like, by the way, I'm going to get off of this and like literally read through every piece of that contract. But I will say people go really far these days to make up crap.
Yes.
And to like doctor things, to like, you can do anything these days.
I am going to take the optimistic route on this one and say I truly do not believe that, more than anything because I don't think they would be so sloppy. I don't think they're leaving a paper trail. I don't think they're leaving a paper trail.
Nobody's leaving this on their desk. They're like,
Yeah.
Emily left this on, like, it was a Snapchat saying Emily left this on her desk. Nobody's just leaving the breakup contract on your desk at work.
No, listen, would it be so juicy? Absolutely. I don't believe it. I really don't believe it. I think the whole way this thing happened was like a one of one situation, to be honest. That no, I'm choosing not to believe this one. That's my stance at the moment, at the time that we're recording this.
And now, since and then Julie, since you did watch Vanderpump Rules, or at least some of it, Jax Taylor, did you have any what were your thoughts about his recent announcement of being diagnosed with bipolar and PTSD while they're filming season 2 of The Valley, which they're on a cast trip to Hawaii right now, but Jax has stayed home with his son Cruz. Did you guys have any thoughts on that?
Well, you didn't really know Jax because you just came in like this last season.
Oh,
well, I know of him.
You have an hour
like
for me to explain Jax to you? Yeah, get ready.
Yeah, I'm not as I again, Vanderpump previous to the whole Scandival thing was something that I like absorbed in terms of like I knew the names and the players, but I wasn't as in on them. But I really paid attention during that the unfolding of it, and then I didn't really check back in afterwards. But I just think in terms of Jax, like obviously that's a name I've heard for years and years, and I think that I obviously don't know enough to have an opinion on him as a person, but I am obviously so supportive of anybody getting the help that they need and being open with the public in terms of what they're going through.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I think that first of all, I'm surprised that Brittany won. Obviously, I second that. And second of all, I honestly I don't know your thoughts on this, Ryan, but I was kind of surprised, happily surprised that Brittany pulled the plug on the divorce. I don't know if I thought she was really going to do it. And I just think she really had to go inside of herself and do that. And you know what? That was the best decision for both of them.
Exact same thoughts. I didn't think she had it in her, and I think it's better for both of them, and I'm sure it's painful. They have their son out of it, and hopefully Jax gets the help that he needs, because a bipolar diagnosis makes a lot of sense. Just seeing him over 12 years on a reality show. I mean, it's got to be, it probably is really comforting to actually have a diagnosis to explain why he feels a certain way, because sometimes our brain chemistry, we're all just wired differently. So I just hope that he actually does the hard work, because it's not enough just to get a diagnosis. You got to put the work in at this point. But yeah, I just thought that was wild. And especially it's going to be on the show. And I think that's going to be crazy as well.
The Valley, listen, as far as I was concerned, that was an underdog, and it really ended up for us being like must-watch television. I constantly reference that scene with Jesse and Michelle when he comes back from that.
I see everything so clearly now after I did ayahuasca. You don't understand. Everything's different now. And you could tell Michelle hates his guts. It was so great. Like, she just can't stand him at all. But now they're both moved on to different partners and are both extremely happy.
As they should be. Honestly, God bless them both. Thank God. But that I couldn't watch one more minute of them even attempting to engage with one another.
Oh, dude, it was so, you could feel it jumping off the screen. That's how intense and uncomfortable it was.
I said to Isabel, I never want to feel that way about a partner, and I never want a partner to feel that way about me. I would say whatever the opposite of a North Star is, that's them for me.
I was like, what are we working towards here? She's not going to not hate you.
Right.
Okay. Emma, Julie, thank you so much. It has been way too long. I have nothing but respect and love for you guys. You're the best at what you do. I always love to see all of the stuff that you work on, and you just have, I don't know, I can't say enough good things. Is there any other TV shows or any other things that you want to recommend to the audience that are non-Kardashian Bravo related that you're into right now? You can say anything embarrassing.
I'm not even going to lie to you guys. I am in so deep on the season of The Surreal Life.
Oh, you started one of your episodes last week about The Surreal Life. And I got to tell you, I watched one episode and I was like, you made me want to go back and check it out, because you were like super all in on Surreal Life. You talked about it for 15 minutes.
She's very in on it.
Okay, because I think Kim Zolciak is one of the greatest reality television figures we have ever had. And I know that as far as my generation is concerned, she is one of the GOATs. Whether you like her or not, there's no one else like her. And to watch her, just think about this for a moment if you're not watching. We are watching Kim Zolciak in a neon pink house in the middle of Colombia with Chet Hanks, Tom Hanks' son, and OT Genesis, the father of Malika's child, who, by the way, as we said, Kim is very close friends with Malika and was at Khloe Kardashian's baby shower and is in that world. So they have that connection. Josie Canseco. I mean, guys, it is so nuts. And then here's Macy Gray. POV, you are Macy Gray. Okay. You created one of the greatest songs of all time. I think I Try is one of the greatest songs of all time. And now you are watching Kim Zolciak in her bright blue robe fight with Croy Bierman in the middle of Colombia. Bet you never expected that.
Wait, is Croy in the show?
He's not on the show, but all of their conversations are recorded. So you don't hear his side. No, you have to watch. I just get through these 7 episodes.
I watched the first episode and I just got to the point where Chet and she was starting to flirt with Kim. Chet and Kim were starting to flirt.
I am telling you.
Hear about a brunette leaving Chet Hanks' hotel room? I'm telling you.
Emma. Chet Hanks is, oh my God.
Emma, I'm telling you.
I didn't realize you were crushing on Chet Hanks. Oh
No,
my God. Can
She's
someone
not
lock
going to
Emma
fully
up?
admit
This
it.
is not-
She's
this
not
is
going to fully admit
horrible.
it. She's going to say it's a little bit of a bit, but I'm telling you, brunette leaving Chet Hanks' room, it's Emma.
Okay,
White
it's
boy
fully a
summer.
bit.
White boy summer. Yeah.
No,
Oh
it
my
is.
God.
It is
Wow.
obviously a bit. I'm obsessed with the whole thing. Can't recommend it enough. Get through the first 2 and you're gonna be hooked. That's
Julie,
just
anything for you?
Is there anything
No.
I'm watching right now? No.
You guys got to watch. It premieres on Friday. Secret Lives of Mormon Wives.
Oh,
Oh, I'm dying.
I'm curious
to
your
see.
take
Yes.
on that. I think you guys.
Yes, I will be
the
watching
first
that.
episode alone was really, really good. Really good.
okay. Well, hey,
Yeah.
we should. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I think you're gonna dig the first episode at least. Then I mean, it's crazy because it's mom talk, so it involves TikTok. Julie, you'll love it.
I know. I'm very excited. I used to watch so much TV, and now
It's all gone. I used to read. I remember reading.
I still read. I still read a lot.
Oh,
How do you? Okay. Anyways, I've taken up so much of your time. My gosh, this was a great day. Thank you guys so much for doing this, and I will hopefully talk to you next time.
Oh, we love you. Thank you.
We love you.